Hi, welcome to Qigong Practice Tips number 2. I'm Francesco Garri Garripoli, and I'm really happy to hear the wonderful response from everyone who saw Practice Tips number 1, which is inspiring me to go to 2 and hopefully keep going as long as they become useful and helpful for everybody who's interested in energy healing, Qigong, and other practices. Reiki too. I mean, these ideas are all similar in a lot of ways. They go to the core of us understanding that we are more than our physical body. We all know that. We're more than what we think we are. And if we can be inspired to remember that when times get tough, when we're challenged with healing issues on a physical, mental, spiritual level, then things change. And it really has to do with something I brought up in practice tips number 1 that some of you asked for me to elaborate on more. And that's the concept of a yi. In Chinese characters, it's pronounced yi, yi. And yi is a very ancient concept. It has a lot to do with how we think, our creative visualization, that whole inner process of our mind. And that's critical in how it plays into Qigong. Qigong is all about the movements, the postures, the positions, everything that we learn about as the outward form of Qigong. It has to do with the breath and using our Dantian breathing. And I'll go more into those details in further practice tips. The third and to me maybe most powerful and most important part of Qigong or energy work in general is the yi. How does your mind play into this work? And you can do all the movements you want. You could practice every day for hours. People tell me proudly how many hours they practice a day. And I'm concerned because they're getting too caught up in the form. And I don't think we should get overwhelmed by how much we practice, how long we practice, even really the particular kinds of things we do in our practice, if we don't bring in the breath, how you're engaged in this energetic, and then secondly, so important, yi. How does this mind, and I point to here because it triggers you thinking about this, your head, but in ancient times, the yi was here, the heart, the shen qi, in this middle Dantian region, and we talk about the lower Dantian in our belly, middle Dantian here in the heart, upper Dantian here. These are just regions. As my old master Duan used to tell me, Dantian simply means energy in, energy out. Really simple concept. Not a storehouse of energy, not a place where you cultivate and bring qi in or get qi out. It's just a portal of sorts, a high probability portal of energy activity. And our job, our task, our challenge in Qigong is to activate that relationship between our physical body and the qi field. And how best to do that is to activate that shen qi, that spirit qi, that mind. As the ancients call the heart mind. Good translation for mind. It's not the head mind. It's not the intellectual mind. It's not that survival mind, the old amygdala-driven fight or flight, old reptilian brain. Survival mind, those two minds we can push aside in this practice. They'll be addressed. But what we're being asked to activate is our intuitive mind. This is the heart mind. This, to me, is the essence of yi. Imagine if when you do your practice, whether it's hands-on healing work, whether it's engaging with another person, whether it's your own personal quiet practice that nobody knows about except for you. How is the yi engaged? How is your heart? How is that shen qi field activated when you do your practice? This is so important and so beautiful and will make a major difference in how you do your Qigong practice every day. So let's think about that a little bit. How would the ancients have considered this idea of yi in the practice? When you're focusing on the movements and your posture, how you stand, what you hold, how you position yourself, all those concerns. And then you think about your breath, driving your exhales into the lower Dantian. Fully exhaling and releasing what no longer serves you in that breath exhale. And then inhaling through the nostrils and bringing that breath in. While you have that all in beautiful order, there's the next level. There's that level of yi. How do I see myself? What are the belief systems I carry? What are the belief systems that I carry about myself? It's really important. If you go into your practice stressed out, looking at your watch, I don't have a watch, or your phone, and looking at the time and saying, I have 20 minutes to do my Qigong, I'm going to race into this, I venture to guess your yi is probably not oriented for your highest good. So how do we get the yi oriented into our highest good? Well, sometimes, for me, I do a little bit of meditation before I even do my movement practice. Actually, my morning practice every morning is 30 minutes or so of meditation, quiet sitting, nei gong work. Nei means inner. Inner gong, inner practice. Qi gong, energy work. Nei gong, inner work. That's the inner stuff. That's without the movement. The breath is natural and deep for me. The position of my body is sitting in a lotus position or a half lotus. That's what I like. Mudras with my hands, maybe, is not so important. But what is most important is I bring my mind, body, spirit, my yi into harmony. Let those thoughts become something beautiful. My nei gong work, my inner work, takes that intuitive mind and lets it shine. Most of our life is getting the intellectual mind and the survival mind, letting it run rampant, letting it take over our life and control us and run us around like chickens with our heads cut off half the time. And that intuitive mind sits in the background and waits. And when that intuitive mind has a chance to get the intellectual and survival mind to relax, and the breath is a good way to do that, all of a sudden our Shen Qi, our heart spirit, becomes engaged and starts to come front and center. And all of a sudden we remember who we are. We're more than this body. We remember that we are interconnected into this universal Qi field, this spirit Qi, whatever you want to call it, the pranic field, the pranic existential field, a million names. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's that you call it, that you call it in, that you welcome yourself as an integral part of that field. You're not moving into that field, just like you don't move into the earth energy or welcome it in, you welcome the integration. And when you begin to integrate your energy field with this universal field, you start to understand the essence of Taoism, which the ancient shamanic wizards tried to share with us and impart with us 2,600 years ago. So let's get back to yi. Let's get back to understanding how to bring your mind into alignment, whether you need meditation before you do your practice or not. I do. I've only been practicing this for about 40 years, so I still have a lot of time to practice. So now when I get into my movements, when I get into my form, when I get into my dance, my mind, my heart mind is fully engaged. I'm not thinking about my shopping list. I'm not thinking about the tasks I have to do. I'm not thinking about what happened yesterday. I'm folding time into the singularity of this present moment. Easier said than done, but that's the place you get to. That's the Qi effect. That's where we get to when we start to feel who we are. And when that yi is in beautiful harmony and alignment, and the intellectual mind and the survival mind have taken a rest, and you've given them permission to say, hey, right now, I really don't need you around. You're doing a great job. The autonomic nervous system is doing good. I'm blinking, I'm breathing, I'm swallowing, my heart's beating fine, taking in oxygen. All that autonomic stuff is just fine. Now we want to go into that next level of mind, that beautiful intuitive mind that reminds me that I am infinite mind knowing itself in my human consciousness, knowing itself through this human experience. That's the whole game here. That's the whole joy of this existence. Yes, I've got a body. Yes, I'm dealing with issues. This is part of life. In this dimension, this is what we deal with. So what? Face it. You want to live in a fantasy? You can live in a fantasy. You want to understand that in this world, we are challenged by the duality of 3 dimensions of the physical form. And when we accept that, each challenge that comes to us, I like to call it an edge. Each time we hit that edge, we say thank you. We engage with our trust. We realize that we've just hit the edge of our trust. Trust in what? Trust that we're awake in this beautiful infinite energy field. It's amazing. It's when the yi kicks in, when the intuitive heart mind kicks in. All of a sudden, breathing becomes natural. The movements become an extension of this energy field. We become sort of tangibly interfacing with this beautiful chi field. The yi now can start to activate the chi throughout our field. That includes our body parts. That includes every organ system, every organ, every cell, every molecule, and every atom that dances within you. It's all an expression at some level of granularity of your energy field, of your existence. Yi exists in each of those levels of granularity. Yes, there is a yi at the atomic level. There's a yi at the organ level. There's a yi at the I am Francesco level, the ego level. It's okay. Each of them is part of this beautiful bandwidth of our existence. Once we understand that mind, yi, and qi, energy, really dance together, and they're so intertwined that actually there's no separation. So then you say, well, it's all in your mind. I love when people tell me that. Well, it's all in your mind anyway, how that healing works. Yes, thank goodness. When I talk to my mom and I say, Mom, I know these medical challenges you have in your late 80s now are big and they're real, but how much are we influencing our participation in those challenges with our yi? Then she smiles and goes, I know, when I think positively, things do feel better. My pain does go away, but it's just in my mind. Well, that's the big interface. That's the big challenge we all have. To not discount the yi, but to integrate the yi, to celebrate how our mind affects our energy field. Our interface with that energy field, I'd rather say in a more refined way. This is the beautiful excitement of this work. This is what points to epigenetics. We understand that the thoughts we carry, the attitudes that we have, influence us at a cellular level. Okay? We understand that the sinusoidal nerve in our heart can be affected by the way we breathe, the way we think, and all of a sudden our heart rate variability starts to increase, and our ability to manage stress becomes a natural thing. Stress, all of a sudden, as the National Institutes of Health say in Washington, which is the cause of 70% of disease, that stress no longer becomes this enemy. Stress becomes something we become very aware of. The ancients call chaos, hundun. When we understand how we interface with that chaos, that chaotic world around us, especially the world right now, it's crazy. I'm saddened sometimes when I turn on the news. My parents watch the news a lot, and what I see when I go down to look at that when I'm here at their home is unbelievable. It's okay. This is the nature of this dimension. The question is, where are you as a yi entity, as a heart-mind entity? Where are you in that mix? Are you relating and identifying with those challenges? Or are you understanding that that is part of a sleeping mindset, a survival and intellectual mindset? And I choose to open up my heart mind, my intuitive mind. And I find my place within that chaos. I find my place within that hundun. And my yi comes into alignment. My body, reflecting that mind, comes into alignment. And I remember how important this inner work is. And you ask, how do I deal with the world? How do I go out in the world when everybody's so crazy and angry and frustrating? Well, try to drive in New Jersey sometimes when I'm here and visiting. It's a big challenge. But I remember that when I hold myself in this place of alignment, when I remember that my energy field is interconnected even with the people who cut me off and beep their horns, it's okay. Somehow, though, when I get in alignment, the world around me shifts. My perception of it shifts. And as my old teacher used to say in the mid-70s, change your mind and you change the world. This is the essence of Yi. No, you might not be able to stop the world. You might not be able to stop war. You may not be able to end poverty. But this is a global karmic event. It's not yours. You are in here to observe it and to understand who you are in the mix. So Yi, how you engage this heart-mind, is your key. And it'll change everything. So use your breath. Do your practice. Understand how the intellectual and survival minds compete to overtake that intuitive mind, that intuitive heart mind. And understand that your Yi is the amalgam of this whole bandwidth of survival, intellectual, and intuitive mind. And the more you allow the intuitive heart mind to consume your Yi, you'll start to see your body. You'll start to understand intuitively, because that's what the heart does best, what your body needs. And that will affect your emotions. That will affect your health. That will affect your hormonal balance. That will affect all of your existence. So we'll talk more about this in the future. But keep in mind, heart mind, your Yi in your practice. And simply ask. If it seems so difficult sometimes, just simply say, I am open and ready, and gratitude will allow your heart to open. So keep your pathway to your heart wide open, and you'll find your strength is there. So thank you for Qigong tips number 2, and may your practice be beautiful and heart-centered. Peace.